The studio lights hummed like distant thunder, promising revelations that could shatter reputations, or forge legends. But tonight, hidden in the guest's steely gaze, lurked a secret that even the host couldn't foresee. The set gleamed under harsh spotlights, a modern coliseum of polished chrome and velvet chairs arranged in a semicircle. Cameras glided silently on tracks, their lenses like unblinking eyes capturing every flicker. The audience, a sea of eager faces, shifted in their seats, the air thick with anticipation and a faint scent of fresh coffee from the control room. Mel Gibson entered from stage left, his stride confident yet measured, dressed in a crisp navy suit that hugged his frame like armor. A subtle twitch at the corner of his mouth, part smile, part grimace, betrayed a man who'd faced worse than bright lights. He adjusted his tie with a quick flick, contrasting the poised actor with the raw intensity simmering beneath. Greg Gutfeld leaned forward from his host's chair, microphone in hand, flashing that trademark grin. "Mel, welcome to the show. You've conquered Hollywood, survived scandals. What's the secret to your unbreakable spirit?" Gibson settled in, crossing his legs with deliberate ease. "Unbreakable? Greg, that's a myth. We're all just patched-up vessels, leaking at the seams. But thanks for the flattery, keeps the ego afloat." His tone was light, but his eyes narrowed slightly, setting the moral battlefield, politeness laced with warning. But he had no idea how far the host would push. Gutfeld chuckled, the audience joining in with polite laughter. "Fair enough. Let's start easy. Your latest project, that historical epic. What drew you back to directing after all these years?" Gibson nodded, his fingers drumming subtly on the armrest. "History's a mirror, Greg. Shows us our flaws, our glories. This one's about redemption, something I know a bit about." The response was smooth, philosophical, revealing a man who pondered life's depths amid the glamour. The host tilted his head, probing gently. "Redemption, huh? Speaking of which, you've been open about your faith. How does that play into your work these days?" A brief pause from Gibson, his jaw tightening just enough for the camera to catch. "Faith's personal, like a compass in the storm. Keeps me grounded." He shifted the topic with a wry smile. "But let's talk films, safer ground." Gutfeld sensed the evasion but pressed on, his wit sharpening. "Safer? Come on, Mel, we're all friends here. Your family's been through the ringer with you. How do they handle the spotlight?" The guest's eyes flashed, a mix of irritation and amusement. "My family's off limits, Greg. They're my anchor, not fodder for ratings." The audience murmured, a soft wave of whispers rippling through the seats. Subtle gasp from the crowd. Producers in the booth exchanged glances, one gesturing subtly, "Ease up." But Gutfeld leaned in undeterred. "Touchy subject? All right, let's pivot to politics. You've never shied from controversy. Your views on free speech in Hollywood. Think the industry's too woke?" Gibson laughed, a short, nervous bark. "Woke? That's a loaded word. I believe in speaking truth, even if it burns bridges. But money talks louder than ideals in this town." His hand gestured emphatically, punctuating the philosophy with a jab. The host grinned wider. "Burning bridges, you've got a history there. Remember that infamous rant? Water under the bridge, or still haunting you?" Tension coiled in Gibson's posture. He uncrossed his legs, leaning forward. "Haunting? It's a scar, Greg. Teaches humility. But dredging it up, that's low-hanging fruit." The audience shifted, some chuckling uneasily, others clapping sporadically. And just then, the studio fell silent, waiting for the spark. Gutfeld waved it off with mock innocence. "Just keeping it real. Fans want the unfiltered Mel. How about money? Rumors say you're sitting on a fortune. Philanthropy or hoarding for the apocalypse?" Gibson's response came sharper now. "Money's a tool, not a god. I give where it matters, quietly. Unlike some who flaunt it for applause." A subtle dig, his tone laced with irritation, but he added a joke. "Apocalypse prep? I've got canned beans and a Bible. What more do you need?" Laughter erupted from the audience, but it was uneven, sensing the undercurrent. Producers fidgeted, one mouthing, rapid, through the glass. Undaunted, Gutfeld pushed. Bible talk again. Your past troubles, alcohol, anger. Reformed man, or just better at hiding? The guest's face hardened, his fingers gripping the chair. Reformed? Life's a journey, Greg. I've owned my mistakes. But this interrogation? Feels like a setup. Whispers grew to murmurs. A few boos echoed from the back. The producer's eyes widened. Was this spinning out of control? Gutfeld held up a hand, placating. No setup, just conversation. Audience loves the grit. Tell us about your kids' proud dad moments? Gibson evaded again. Proud? Every day. But details? Private. His voice rose slightly, a philosophical edge creeping in. Privacy's a dying art in this spectacle age. The host smirked. Spectacle? That's showbiz, Mel. Your net worth's public, why hide the rest? Audience reactions amplified, applause for Gutfeld's boldness, then gasps as Gibson's expression darkened. Producers signaled frantically, cut to commercial. But the escalation continued. Politics again, your support for certain figures. Regrets? No regrets, Gibson snapped, his gestures sweeping the air. I stand by conviction. Unlike flip-floppers chasing trends. The crowd split, cheers and jeers clashing like thunder. Rising murmurs. Gibson's hand trembled slightly, a sign of the storm brewing. Gutfeld, sensing the heat, doubled down. Conviction or controversy? That anti-Semitic slip, forgiven or forgotten? Gibson's eyes blazed. Slip? Alcohol-fueled idiocy, apologize for. But you keep resurrecting it for clicks. His tone shifted to raw irritation, a nervous laugh escaping. This isn't an interview, it's an ambush. Boos and applause battled louder now, the audience a living barometer of chaos. Producers paced, one banging on the glass subtly. Would the host back down, or ignite the fuse? Ambush? Just truth-seeking. Gutfeld retorted, his sarcasm peaking. Your ex, messy divorce. Lessons learned? Gibson stood halfway, then sat back, fists clenched. Enough with the personal digs. Family's sacred. The philosophical mask cracked, revealing frustration. The host pressed. Sacred? Yet you air views on everything else. Hypocrisy? Audience erupted in a mix of laughs and shocked whispers. Glare intensifying on Gibson's face. In that moment, something snapped. Gibson rose fully now, yanking at his microphone clip with a sharp tug. This ends here, Greg. I'm not your circus monkey. The wire dangled loose as he turned toward the exit, his stride purposeful, leaving the set in stunned silence. Gutfeld jumped up, microphone extended. Mel, wait! We're just getting started. He gestured wildly, trying to reel him back, but the guest paused at the edge, turning with a piercing glare. You call this journalism? It's blood sport. Gibson's voice boomed, echoing off the walls. The audience gasped collectively, frozen in their seats as producers rushed in from the wings, arms waving in panic. But Gibson didn't stop. He shoved past the stagehand, the doors slamming behind him with a finality that reverberated through the studio. Cliffhanger action, what explosion awaited in the aftermath? The studio erupted in chaos the moment the door slammed shut behind Mel Gibson. Gasps turned to murmurs, then to a cacophony of shouts and applause, half the crowd cheering the walkout as a stand for dignity, the other half booing it as cowardice. Producers swarmed the set like frantic bees, one yelling into a headset. Cut to commercial! Now! Greg Gutfeld stood frozen for a beat, his microphone limp in his hand before forcing a laugh. Well, folks, that's live TV for you, unpredictable as ever. But his voice cracked slightly, betraying the shock. Backstage, the air was thick with tension, the hum of fluorescent lights amplifying the silence. Gibson paced the green room, his suit jacket tossed over a chair, fists unclenching slowly. A producer burst in, face flushed. Mel, that was intense. You okay? Gibson shot him a look, half smile, half glare. Okay? That wasn't an interview, it was a takedown. Tell Greg if he wants real talk, try without the ambush. Minutes later, Gutfeld appeared at the door, producers hovering like shadows. No cameras now, just two men in a dimly lit room. Mel, come on, it was showbiz. You know how it works. His tone was conciliatory, but edged with defensiveness. Gibson stopped pacing, crossing his arms. Showbiz? You cross lines, Greg. Family, past mistakes. That's not entertainment, it's exploitation. A philosophical pause hung in the air. We all chase ratings, but at what cost to our souls? Gutfeld sighed, rubbing his temples. Ratings keep the lights on. I pushed because people want raw truth. You gave them spectacle, walked out like a hero or a quitter, depending on who you ask. The guest's eyes softened briefly, then hardened. Hero? I'm just a man tired of being the punchline. He grabbed his jacket, heading for the exit. Good luck with the fallout. Outside, the storm brewed online. Social media ignited within seconds, #Gibson walkout trending worldwide. Headlines screamed, Mel Gibson storms off Gutfeld. Epic meltdown or bold stand. Comments flooded in, fans praising his integrity. Finally, someone calls out the media circus. Critics labeling him fragile. Can handle heat. Stay out of the kitchen. Clips of the mic drop went viral, racking up millions of views. Producers watched in horror as the network's phones lit up, some calls demanding apologies, others boosting ad rates for the replay. But the real explosion was just beginning to unfold. In the control room, the team huddled around screens, tracking the metrics. Views are through the roof, one said, grinning nervously. But sponsors are jittery, could pull out if it turns ugly. The audience filed out, buzzing, whispers of, that was wild, mixed with shocked silence. One viewer tweeted, Gutfeld went too far, respect boundaries. Another, Gibson overreacted, it's just talk. Gibson slipped out a side door into the cool night air, his driver waiting. As he slid into the car, his phone buzzed endlessly, texts from friends, agents. The consequences rippled outward, a digital tidal wave no one could contain. Gutfeld returned to his dressing room, slumping into a chair. A producer knocked. Boss, network wants a statement. Spin it as passionate debate? He nodded wearily. Yeah. But damn, that escalated fast. Deep down, he wondered if the thrill was worth the backlash. The fallout spread like wildfire beyond the studio walls. By morning, talk shows dissected the incident, pundits on one network calling it a triumph for free speech. Gutfeld asked the tough questions, others decrying it as tabloid journalism. Where's the line between inquiry and invasion? Gibson's phone rang off the hook, his agent advising. Lay low, this could boost your next film. But friends texted concern. You alright, Mel? That was brutal. In a quiet LA cafe the next day, Gibson met a longtime buddy over coffee. They dragged up everything, family, scandals. He vented, his gesture sweeping the air emphatically. It's like they forget we're human. His friend nodded. Media's a beast. But walking out? Balls it. Fans are rallying. #Stand with Mel is gaining traction. Meanwhile, Gutfeld faced his own circle. At a post-show debrief in a dimly lit bar, his team raised glasses uneasily. You nailed the ratings, Greg, one said. But was it worth pissing off a legend? Gutfeld smirked, but his eyes betrayed doubt. Worth it? Controversy sells. Yet maybe I pushed too hard. A sharp flash of defensiveness. He knew what he signed up for. Online, the divide deepened. Opponents piled on Gibson. Hypocrite, preaches conviction but bolts when challenged. Supporters fired back. Gutfeld's a bully hiding behind wit. Viral memes emerged, Gibson as a gladiator exiting the arena, Gutfeld as a smirking ringmaster. News outlets ran op-eds on journalism's boundaries. In the age of clicks, is privacy obsolete? Tension ebbed in private moments. Gibson, back home, reflected with his family over dinner. It was about respect, he said softly, his tone philosophical. Some things aren't for public consumption. His kids nodded, one joking. "Dad, next time, just throw the mic." Laughter broke the strain, but a sharp reminder lingered when a tabloid headline popped up on his screen. Gibson's rage inside the meltdown. Gutfeld, reviewing footage in his office, paused on Gibson's final glare. "Damn, that cut deep." A call from a rival host. "Bold move, Greg, but watch your back. Free speech cuts both ways." He hung up, pondering Reputation's fragility. The conflict simmered, flashing in heated exchanges on forums, where users debated, "Who's the victim here?" Scenes shifted to fan reactions worldwide. In a New York bar, a group toasted Gibson. "Man's got principles." Across the pond, a London podcast ripped Gutfeld. "That's not interviewing, it's interrogating." Opponents organized boycotts, while supporters streamed the episode, boosting views paradoxically. Amid the noise, a quiet confrontation loomed. As days passed, the storm quieted, but not without aftershocks. Gibson released a statement. "Interviews should enlighten, not exploit. I walk to preserve dignity, for all of us." Gutfeld countered on air. "Passion got the best, no hard feelings. But truth hurts sometimes." Sharp barbs and comments sections kept the embers glowing. Would reconciliation bridge the gap, or widen it? In a surprising turn, the two met again, off-camera, at a neutral charity event a week later. Gutfeld approached cautiously. "Mel, no mics this time." "Truce?" Gibson eyed him, then extended a hand. "Truce. But learn the line between probe and pry." Their grip was firm, a short reconciliation born of mutual respect, or necessity. Gutfeld admitted, "I chased the spectacle, forgot the human." Gibson nodded philosophically. "We all do. Lesson, dignity's priceless." Yet each interpreted differently, Gibson as a win for boundaries, Gutfeld as fuel for bolder shows. The resolution felt tentative, a pause in the endless media cycle. In the epilogue, as the dust settled, the incident faded into Hollywood lore, a cautionary tale of egos clashing under lights. But the deeper moral lingered. In the pursuit of spectacle, do we sacrifice dignity and respect? The cost, reputation scarred, truths twisted for views, begs reflection. In the end, who truly won, the one who walked away, or the one who stayed? Who was right? Tell us below.